here at Whole Foods. Let's go. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Therese. I'm a 30-something living my best life in Miami. I post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, so be sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications. That way you never miss a thing. Meal planning and food prepping have literally changed the game for me as someone that loves food, loves good food. This is literally an essential for me before I start the beginning of the week. I should also mention that I genuinely hate eating the same thing every single day. So if you do too, then this is definitely the video for you. But first, let's hit that intro. So I like to meal plan, or more so food prep. Basically, I like to prepare for like 1 to 2 weeks at a time. I set aside 4 to 5 dishes that I know I'm gonna make during that time span. And that's just because it's including about 1 to 2 days every single week that I'm going to be eating out. Me and my fiance like to eat out at least 1 to 2 times a week. He works from home every day, so he needs to get out of the house. So that's why those are kind of built in. And then most things that I cook, I do have enough leftovers for either like another meal or leftover day, or just like take for lunch later in the week. And what food prepping and meal planning this way really allows me to do is that when I come home from work, I literally just can throw everything into a pot or on the stove and it cooks for me in like 30 minutes or less. I'm really trying to minimize the time that I'm cooking Monday through Friday, since I pretty much am at the office 9 hours a day, and then I also like have basically an hour commute, which is like 30 minutes to get to work and then 30 minutes to come home. And so I love to cook and I love to make a whole extravagant meal. That's just not realistic for me most days of the week, and so this helps me so much. So today we're going to go through what my process is to kind of get the system set up in place so that it makes my life so much easier Monday through Friday. All it takes is a little bit of planning, a little bit of preparation, and a little bit of time. So let's get into it. I usually start the week going through my TikTok like recipes folder for like any inspiration on things that I want to cook. As I mentioned, I love to cook, so I usually have recipes that I'm like, oh, I want to make that, and I like kind of have it in my mind, and then that sounds good, and so I just like add it to my note. So I have a shared note with my fiance, and it's our groceries notes. I've seen people do this in reminders as well. We just have a grocery note, and that's because I also sometimes like to paste the link to the video here, and if you like check it off in reminders, it like disappears. So I kind of like to have it all here for me. Okay, but on my grocery list, I put all of the meals I'm gonna make for the week. So I haven't made the broccoli and rice yet, so I'm gonna leave it on there. We're gonna make a chicken salad. Then we're also gonna make salmon bowls. We're also gonna make these like Mediterranean meatballs, and that's just kind of like a bowl. And then looking at the 4 meals that I know I want to cook, I need to write all the groceries that I need for those meals that I don't think we have. I know I had the broccoli and rice on my list from last week, so I know I have all the ingredients for that. Then the chicken salad, we have that. When you check that recipe. Salmon bowls, we have the broccoli, we have the salmon, the mayo, we have rice. So I should have everything for that as well. Cool. Mediterranean bowls, we definitely will need to add something. So for the Mediterranean, I think I'm gonna also get some ground lamb, because I usually make it with ground beef, but I think a couple more would taste good with like a blend of them. We're gonna get some parsley to put in the meatballs, and then pilaf. We're gonna also need, I think we have tomatoes, but just in case, tomatoes, cucumbers. We need red onions. We need feta cheese. Anything else that we need with that? Did I put cucumber? Yeah. Okay. And honestly, not bad. Usually I have like a way longer list. So obviously I want to double check this list with everything that I have in my fridge and in my pantry, and anything I don't have, add. And then usually anything else I need to get from the grocery store. So I know if we're like running low on milk, running low on orange juice, all that stuff, I also will obviously add to the list. We're an ingredient household, so I stick to the list. I get everything that's on the list. If it's not on the list, I'm not getting it. I also usually separate my list between stores, so I know I'm probably going to need to go get all that stuff at Whole Foods. I'm probably forgetting some things, but for now, this is good enough because we got all the ingredients that we'll need for actually the food that we're going to cook, which is obviously the part of this video that we're here for. Okay, now that I know what we need for groceries, I also pretty much know what we need to make for each meal, like what veggies we need to chop, what protein we're going to cook, all of that type of things. I'm going to write out everything that needs to be essentially food prepped. So essentially what I like to do is write down every single meal on its own separate section. And this like weekly plan doesn't mean anything. Like I'm not going to specifically cook all of these meals on these specific days. I just like to separate it that way. I know these recipes pretty well, so I know what needs to be made in each of the recipes and like what essentially needs to be prepped. So I'll just write down what needs to be prepped for each meal. So for the chicken salad, I need to cook the chicken, I need to cook the broccoli, I need to make the sauce. And then for the salmon, I need to marinate the salmon, cook the broccoli, make the sauce. And then for the Mediterranean like meatballs, I need to make the meatballs and then chop all of the veggies. I guess you don't really need to write this down if you can like keep it all in your head, but I'm just like a super visual person, so I need to go through and like check everything off. So like when I'm in the kitchen and food prepping, I just like go through one by one and make sure I'm making every single thing that needs to be made, so it makes my life so much easier during the weekdays. And then with my food prepping list all done, I'm pretty much all set, and so let's head to the grocery store. Alrighty, we are at Whole Foods. Let's go. Now that we're back home, we're actually going to do the food prepping part. So obviously I'm going through all of my lists. I knew I wanted to make pickled onions, so I started with that just because I thought I might want to eat those for dinner later today for the Mediterranean bowls. All of the recipes I'm making in this video are kind of like a riff off of something I've seen on TikTok before, so I'll link all of those inspo like videos in the caption below if you're interested and want to check them out yourself. Pickled onions are a lot easier than I think a lot of people think, and so I usually just make them at home. I didn't have any sugar on hand because I'm trying to cut out refined sugar, and I haven't had a chance to make any maple sugar yet, so I ended up just using agave. Honestly, the substitute worked fine, but kind of weird. The food prepping itself typically takes about like 2 hours on a weekend day, but still definitely worth it to make my life so much easier during the weekdays. I would say on average it takes me maybe 30 minutes when I get home from work, so I feel like it can't get much better than that, especially because I don't want to eat the same meal every single night. I want like a freshly cooked dinner that I can either take for leftovers the next day or just something new and fresh that isn't like stale in my fridge, you know what I mean? For pretty much any pickled veggie, I will store those in my mason jars or like leftover jars I kept from like sauce or something like that. And then any veggies that I kind of am dicing and chopping to use later in the week, I will store those in deli containers. These deli containers have been an absolute game changer for me. I know I've said that about like a couple different things, but I'm being so serious because the deli containers are so thin and they're so cheap. I'm not worried about like not having enough on hand. Like I always have more than enough, and because they're so cheap, if I ever run out for whatever reason, I can always buy more, and I can actually focus on storing like actual meals like for lunch or like leftovers in a nice way in my glass containers, and the plastic ones also just do not take up as much storage in my cabinets, which is always really good. I don't have a specific rhyme or reason why I like cook one thing or prep one thing before another. I kind of just go through the list and I know what needs to be like cooked in the oven or defrosted or whatever the case may be. I'm sure if I really thought about it, I could do this in like a more sequential way that would be a little bit faster, but honestly this is enough prepping for me. I know what it needs to get done and I just do it wherever it comes in my mind. So we'll just watch me finish the rest of the food and I'll see you at the end. And this is everything pretty much food prepped and ready. You can see the chicken salad in the front. I have 4 containers of that, the pickled onions and the pickled cucumbers, and then the rice and kind of broccoli and edamame are ready for the salmon bowl, and then the meatballs are ready as well. Hopefully this version of food prepping is a lot easier for you and that you found this video helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe. I drop new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!